So good morning. I'm Karen Govern, Chief Executive Officer of STARability Foundation. I'd like to welcome everyone joining us here in person today, as well as virtually, for our family forum. Can everyone hear me online?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Please mute yourself if you are joining us online, unless you have a question at one point. Welcome. It's wonderful to see all of you here today. So STARability created these family forums because we heard from families and caregivers over and over again that they needed help finding community resources and support. So October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And we are delighted today to have a great panel of speakers and several of our vocational partners here for our forum on charting the path for employment. After this panel, we'll take a brief break, and then we'll have a mini job and volunteer fair where you will have the opportunity, those of you here in person, to meet some of our vocational partners and learn about current and upcoming volunteer and employment opportunities. Before we continue, I'd first like to thank the Naples Therapeutic Riding Center for once again hosting us in this lovely room, and a couple housekeeping items. If you're here in person, restrooms are out the door to the right. And then we have some fresh refreshments here, so please feel free to help yourself at any time during the presentation. So if you are joining us virtually, we are muting everyone's mics to avoid any background noise. After each presentation, we'll take a couple of questions. If you are joining us on Zoom, please submit your questions via the chat after the speaker finishes their presentation. And our presenters will also be here after the panel ends. So if you're joining us in person and you have a more detailed question or would like to discuss your own personal situation, you're welcome to speak with them then. And finally, we will be recording today's forum and we'll share the link later this week. So before we get started, I would like to thank all of you joining us today and everyone who contributes to making STARability the thriving organization that it is. Our wonderful staff, our fantastic board, all of our volunteers, and our community partners, and especially our stars who allow us to be with them every day and help transform their lives. I'd also like to make a special thank you to Lori Sullivan, who's our Director of Operations back there, Hallie Kretschmer, our Vocational Services Manager, and Rachel Johnston, our Marketing and Communications Director, for organizing today's Family Forum, and for all of our STARability staff who are here assisting today. I'd also like to give a special thanks to our vocational partners who provide vocational training, volunteer opportunities, and paid employment opportunities for our STAR participants. So at STARability, our mission is to transform the lives of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities through social, vocational, and educational connections to the community while strengthening awareness for individual abilities. At STARability, we shine light on ability, not disability. We offer a range of life-enriching programs for our participants, both in person and online. Through our STAR Connections, our participants connect and engage with the community through continuing education, art and creative expression workshops, health and wellness classes, sports leagues, monthly socials, and more. Our pioneering outreach program, the Trailblazer Academy, offers community-based skill development experiences for participants, and our Junior Trailblazer Academy, which is modeled after the Adult Trailblazer Academy, is an after-school program for 14 to 21-year-old high school students. When we started our vocational services program, it was an intentional offshoot of the Trailblazer Academy. We had built relationships with employers who were providing vocational training for our Trailblazers, and through these volunteer opportunities, our Trailblazers gained new skills and, most importantly, greater confidence in job settings. So as our participants were introduced to the world of work, Employers recognized their abilities, and we began to match them with businesses for paid employment opportunities. We also became a vocational training site and employer ourselves, offering placements at our office, at our Star Made studio, which is in our Star store, and at our newest placement location, our Thriveability Community Garden Project, which is at River Park Community Center. And as our vocational services grew, we recognized that we were offering vocational services that vocational rehabilitation providers typically provide. So we went through the process of becoming a certified voc rehab provider, and we were approved in June of 2019. Support from the Golisano Foundation helped us launch our vocational services program, which continues to grow as we see increasing interest for these services. So we are very pleased today to have a very informative panel to discuss the path to employment for individuals with disabilities. So joining us is Robert Richards and Lisa O'Leary from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. Robert is the unit manager and Lisa is a vocational rehabilitation consultant. Idella Hernandez, who is a disability benefits specialist at IAS LLC. Hallie Kretschmer, STARability's vocational services manager. And we are also extremely pleased to have some of our STARability families joining us today to speak about their experiences with their employment process. Liv DeAngelis is a STARability participant and one of our StarMade studio assistants. And Matt Martell is one of our trailblazers who works in the community, and he is joined by his father, Mark. So please join me in welcoming all of our speakers. So our first speakers are from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. Robert Richards has been the unit supervisor for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, serving Collier, Hendry, and Glades County since 2014. Prior to that, he was the Director of Parole and Rehabilitation Services in Massachusetts for many years. Lisa O'Leary is a certified rehabilitation counselor with over 34 years experience working with and for people with disabilities. She has been a part of the Southwest Florida community since 1991 and has been with vocational rehabilitation since 2016. Welcome, Robert and Lisa.
Always nice to go first because you get to figure out the technology.
No, and darn that Karen's tall.
Yeah, you may have.
So we're just gonna move this down,
Yeah.
Bob, you
See
center
yourself
yourself
right
in.
there so the
Okay.
online people can see.
I think we're good.
Perfect. All right.
I'm Robert Richards from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and
I'm Lisa O'Leary, obviously, here from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. I'll stand in the background while Bob does his thing.
thank you.
Go ahead.
It's great to be here today to share a little bit about our journey and your journey with vocational rehabilitation. And I really want to thank STARability for the great treats here. It's kind of nice to have coffee in the morning when you come. We're going to show a brief orientation video, which all our customers can go online at www.rehabworks.org. It's a nice introduction to our agency, and it's a good way to find out what vocational rehabilitation is all about. After that, we're going to go through our process of how you come into VR, what you have to do, and how you move through our system. So if we could.
Cue the video.
Oh, and I just want to give a compliment on the many years in Massachusetts instead of doing the number, because it was pretty big. So I think that was very polite. Thank you.
All right. So just gonna cue the video for us.
Florida Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Orientation Video. Welcome to the VR orientation video. We want to start by congratulating you for taking an important first step in achieving the future you want by considering employment. Whether you are new to our agency or have participated in vocational rehabilitation before, perhaps in another state, we want to start with an introduction to our program. Our agency's mission is to help individuals with disabilities find and maintain employment and enhance their independence. For 100 years, we've worked to help others achieve their goals and successfully find employment for thousands of people every year, people just like you. Everything we do here is customized to fit your needs and help you on your path to employment. To help you determine if we're the right program to help you meet your goals, we're going to talk about what we do, your responsibilities, and the VR process. At the end of this video, you're going to use what you've learned to help you make a big decision. Do I want to work? What VR does. Let's jump right in with what we do here at VR. The short version is we help eligible people with physical and mental disabilities find, get, or keep better jobs. That's where we get the V in vocational rehabilitation. First and foremost, we're about going to work. The jobs we help our customers get are the same as the ones available to anyone in the community, which means you'll be working alongside and learning from people with and without disabilities. Because we're an agency that exclusively serves people with disabilities, we specialize in helping you identify barriers that keep you from reaching your job goals. That's where the R for rehabilitation comes in. Our counselors are trained to support you during your time with our agency as you prepare for employment. VR uses a team approach to help you reach your goal. Every team is different, but in addition to your VR counselor, your team could include doctors, therapists, job coaches, community partners, and of course, your friends and family. Your team is comprised of people who see your strengths and want to support you on your path to employment. We want you to see your strengths too, because your involvement is key to your success. Your responsibilities. So what do we mean when we say your involvement? If you decide VR is the right agency for you, then you'll be working closely with your counselor to become employed. Both of you will have responsibilities to uphold. Your counselor is responsible for coordinating the services you need to reach your employment goal and to support you along the way with career guidance and counseling. Your responsibilities are keeping commitments. Keeping appointments is an example of a commitment. You are committing to show up at a certain day and time. Another example is completing assignments given to you by your VR counselor. When you are committed to completing your assignments, it makes it easier for your team to commit to your success. Communicating. Good teamwork takes lots of talking to one another. You may not speak with your team members every day. Sometimes you will receive a letter or an email from your counselor instead of a phone call or video chat, but staying in touch is critical. We need to know how you're doing and if we can help you. Update the team anytime your contact information changes so we can always reach you. Modeling a good employee. Your team is here to help you with all the different things it takes to get ready for employment. This includes big things like interview skills, education, and resumes. But we can't forget other things like professional clothing and hygiene. We want you to get used to being ready to go to work, and having a neat appearance when you visit the office for appointments is just one way to do that. Customers who actively participate in their case and uphold their responsibilities find the most success. If you're wondering what you can do now to get started, get active. Volunteering and/or community involvement is a major asset when seeking employment. This helps with recent work experience, routines, recommendations, and networking. Get prepared. We talked a minute ago about receiving letters or emails from your counselor. Make sure you read them and complete any requests they have before attending your appointments. You'll get more out of each meeting that way. Get sharp. Remember, we want you to be work ready, and that means updating your voicemail, email address, and social media accounts to reflect professionalism. VR is committed to the success of our customers, and that means we have responsibilities too. Confidentiality. We'll always keep the information you share with us safe. Communication. You'll rarely hear from us daily, but we'll regularly update you on the progress of your case. We will check in with you about your services, make sure you're keeping your appointments, and alert you to new opportunities we find. Transparency. We'll be upfront and truthful about your case and its progress. We want you to be able to weigh your options fairly anytime you're faced with a choice so you can make an informed decision. The VR process. Each customer's path to employment is unique, but every journey has important milestones in the VR process. To help you understand what to expect if you choose to partner with us, we're going to explain the steps in helping our customers find employment. Attending orientation is the first step in our process. Remember, at the end of our time together today, you'll be considering if you want to go to work and would like to apply for services with our agency. If you decide you're ready, then you move on to your first appointment with your counselor. This appointment may take place in an office, over the phone, or using video chat. During that appointment, they'll have a detailed conversation with you that will feel a lot like an interview. They're going to ask you about your work history, jobs you're interested in, your disability, your finances, your supports, and more. This appointment lasts at least an hour, and at the end of it, you can decide to apply for services. Should you choose to apply, it will be time to find out if you're eligible for vocational rehabilitation. An eligibility determination is where your counselor reviews all the information they've gathered from you during the first appointment and any additional records received afterward. Your counselor may send you for evaluations or assessments at no cost to you if additional information is needed or required. VR must determine that you in fact have a disability that interferes with your ability to work and that you require our services to help you reach your career goal. This is an important decision that can take up to 60 days to make. If you are determined eligible, then the next step is writing your Individualized Plan for Employment, or IPE. This plan outlines how your team will work together to address your barriers to employment and achieve your career goal. The plan also lists the services and service providers that will help you be successful. Because we customize every plan to fit each person's needs, this process can take up to 90 days. After the plan is developed, you'll sign it and services will begin. Examples of services can include career counseling and guidance, training and education, on-the-job training, assistive technology and devices, job coaching, and job placement, whatever you need to go to work. While you receive services, you'll continue to check in with your counselor. Sometimes you'll come into a VR office for a face-to-face meeting. Other times, you might receive a phone call or email. Your counselor cares about your progress, and they want to make sure you are getting ready for employment. Once you're ready for employment, the job search begins with the help of your counselor, service providers, and other members of your team. After you become employed, your counselor will check in with you periodically to see if you need any additional support. From the time you complete an application until you become employed, you and your team will work closely to make sure you are successful at each stage in the VR process.
You're muted. You're muted.
Go ahead, Robert, and then.
Hello,
Can you hear me now?
I think we're good. As I was saying, the video was created by VR in response to COVID-19 as our office is closed. We wanted to continue to provide services. We moved to Microsoft Teams to do interviews over the internet so people could still apply for services and continue on to work or provide anything that people needed to get to their work goals. I like the video. I think it gives you a nice introduction to what VR is. It also explains a little bit of our process, which we're going to go into a little bit more in a while, just to tell you a little bit clearer what the steps are. I also like the video because it reminds me of all the things I probably would forget to say
Thank you for
in
taking.
a presentation, because it is VR can be a complicated process, and you can go back to look at the video as many times as you want to. We have Works Dialogue, which is our website, which gives you a kind of a nice overlay of every single service that we provide. So whether you watch the video or not, you heard about VR, you want, okay, I want to apply for services. The first process is you fill out a referral form. We have some referral forms here. People can look at them. It's basic information, your name, your phone number, your address, and why basically you want to be involved with VR. You can fill it out, send it to email, you can mail it, or you can do what most people do. You can call our office and speak to our receptionist, and you can do that referral right over the phone. That referral is then processed in our computer, it goes to me, and then at that point, I will assign it to a counselor, and the counselor will then, within, I'd say within 1 week of being assigned, will contact the customer to set up an appointment. So from that point, I can leave it in
All
your
right,
hands.
I'll trade you. You can have that one. Okay, so on the screen is what looks very, very small. It's like probably for people that are in the room, it's probably like #2 font. No worries. We did bring extra handouts, extra copies. This is our handbook of services. And we wanted to bring this with us so that way you guys could see firsthand what it's like when you come into our office, or if you're doing a virtual meeting through a Teams app, like Bob said, or we can even do over the phone now. I say one of the big things that COVID has really changed is accessibility to services. In the past, in order to link with VR services, you had to have the ability to come in to our office. Today, we can do things in a number of different platforms. As a more seasoned counselor, I can say a lot of the transition age students were like, oh, snap, we have this Teams thing, which took me a few months to get the hang of. So it really does make it a little bit more accessible. So once you apply for services, the video does a good job of going over, the time frames that we have and everything. We do have 60 days to determine eligibility. It's important to remember VR is not an entitlement program. We look at eligibility, and we look at eligibility the same way if you go to any VR across the country. It's in federal law. We look at, is there a disability? Is there an impediment to work? And do you need the VR services to achieve that goal? So no matter what VR you go to here in Florida, in Wisconsin, wherever, it's the same eligibility criteria. So once we determine that eligibility, we move on to the next section. And just to back up for a second with eligibility, it's also important to remember when you're meeting with your VR counselor for the first time, even when they call you to schedule that appointment, if you or the person that you're helping advocate for receives Social Security, make sure you let them know. Because with that, we have what's called presumed eligibility. And the way that I look at that is the federal government says that this is a person who has a disability. We're a state and federally funded program. We have presumed eligibility, and it helps speed the process. Now that just gets you through the door for eligibility's sake, but we still might need to do some evaluations and assessments to determine what types of jobs you might be interested in. A lot of times when we work with people, they say, I don't know. And so that's really where the vocational counselor comes into play, of looking at things that you're interested in and things that you might be good at. Sometimes you might be good at something and not really realize that could be a goal, and vice versa. So that's important to remember. We still might need those assessments. If you're looking at additional training to go on to employment and would need accommodations, we would look at that type of an assessment at that onset. And just like the video had mentioned, there's no cost for that service. So once we get the eligibility determined, you're contacted by the counselor. Sometimes they might send you a letter with with some additional information. Sometimes they might give you a call, shoot you an email that we need to schedule a time now for plan development. Yeehaw, it's plan development. So that's when we sit down, we look at all of the documentation we've already assembled, and then we kind of backtrack. Okay, this person would like to do this job. First, we have to determine, is that going to be something that's going to be realistic and attainable? With VR, it's important to remember that we're about competitive integrated employment. So we don't do a lot of workshop type of employment where you might be doing maybe contracting with an employer in the community that might send some work over, like I'm just going to show my age because I'm well seasoned at this point. But one of the things that we used to do is we would partner with local print shops. They didn't have the technology at the time to fold envelopes and to fold flyers and stuff envelopes. So we would have a lot of work that would do temporary, short-term jobs. They would send the envelopes over, the letters over. Our guys would get paid to put those flyers together, mail them off, happy day. That's not VR. VR is competitive, integrative employment out in the community, just like in the introduction video, working along other people who are not disabled. So that's an important differentiation as well. I think sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, but VR is about competitive integrated employment. So once we kind of iron out what that job's going to be, we backtrack. We look at, well, what services are you going to need to get to that job? We contract with job coaches in the community. We contract with other agencies. So what we might do, what the counselor might do is say, we think that so-and-so is going to be great for a support employment candidate. Let's set up some times that we can arrange to interview some job coaches. Something that I personally find is really important is that everybody that I work with, we kind of work together to interview those job coaches. It's important because I work with all the job coaches. I get along with everybody. I can work with anybody. But you're the one, your person or your child or loved one is the person who has to work with that job coach. So it's important that they have that rapport with the job coaches. So to me, that's an important part, is to interview. And, we've called in job coaches. In the past, we would just make a phone call and have a speaker three-way phone call. But dang, this technology is catching up to us. So now it's more like, we're going to arrange a Teams meeting and Lisa's going to flub around with the Teams thing for a little bit until we get everybody on the screen and we can meet virtually. And then that person has the choice. We're all about, it's that person's choice in services, just much like STARability, advocating for people to be as independent as possible. So after we get everything ironed out with the plan, we look at the services that you might need. You might need help getting to and from work or to and from job interviews, so we can help with that transportation until you get employed. And then, just like you or I would do, we would have to pay for our own transportation. So we look at the services to help get you employed. Once we get all of that ironed out, Boss Bob over here approves the plan. Yay, Boss Bob. You move into in-service. That's the time that you're going to be working with the job coach, working with your VR counselor to iron out what support specifically are you going to need to find that job. The job coach might be there to help work with your resume, hands-on with the resume writing, interview skills, how to fill out a job application, where to look for jobs, all kinds of. So that's kind of where we are with developing your plan for services. Along the way there, we also look at financial participation. While job coaching and guidance and counseling are considered to be exempt from financial participation, when we look at other services, and again, this is all in the handbook and things that your counselor would go over with you, we look at the financial participation based on household income. So that's an important thing to remember. You're free not to give us that information, but we can only provide services that are exempt from that, the job coaching and the guidance and counseling through the vocational counselor. So, Bob, you want to move forward there? Oh, wait, technical glitch. That way. There you go. So, yep. So that is pretty much where we're at. Once that job coach finds that a job, once you have successfully gone through that employment process, you're now hired, woohoo! The birds will be singing, the sky is going to be blue. We don't just close out your case immediately when you set foot on the job. We keep that case open for a minimum of 90 to 180 days, just to make sure everything is going okay. If there's any kinks involved in the job, that we can iron those out. The job coach can work with the employer directly to iron those kinks out to make sure that this is going to be competitive, integrated, long-lasting employment. So then that would be our little presentation.
So,
Questions?
I'd actually like to start with a question, if you don't mind, and we're gonna have to change places because
Okay.
whoever's in this magic spot is seen by the people
There you go.
online. So I'll let you come in when you answer. Okay?
Okay.
So as I mentioned in my opening remarks, STARability is now a certified voc rehab provider. So what does that mean for our STARability participants, for our community at large? What can STARability provide for our stars and individuals through VR?
So I guess the question is, now that you're a provider, what can we do for you?
Well, how do we work together?
Okay. Basically, our providers, we usually reach out to them. We usually have regular meetings so that what transpires from that point is you have certain people you want to get services from us. So what we can do is we have the ability to provide support services that maybe things that you can't provide, like transportation or some other, you may have a customer in your program that needs some new training or educational services. We can provide that. What you would do is you provide a referral to us, and from that referral, we would then pay you to provide the job coaching, the job training, and then whatever supports you need to make that work, we would help you with that. Because we have a unique saying at VR that every case is unique. As many people as get referred, that's as many situations as we have. So one customer may need X, one customer may need Y. Everyone's different. So what we try to do is help you get that person to their job and to their, so they can be gainfully employed. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's whatever you need to get that person from A to Z, we'll help you with.
Can I add to that, Bob?
Sure.
Because you know I always have to add to
You
that.
need to.
I know. I can't help it. All right. So just to kind of, I always have to add to Bob. I'm surprised I'm still working. Anyway, and I think that where your question comes in too is that as a participant, when you apply for VR services, and you know you've been working with STARability for a few years, and you know what, they know my participant. When I say I encourage people to interview coaches, if you already know that you have a coach that you've been working with and you would like to request to work with that provider, they can certainly come in, and when we're developing that plan, say, I appreciate being able to interview other coaches, but this is, I've got this relationship, they know me, this is who I want to move forward with. So it goes back to communication. It's really important for participants to communicate with us and let us know that that's what's going on. And again, with the providers following up with the counselor so we can work through any bumps in the road.
Okay, do we have a question online, Lori? Any questions in the chat? Okay, all right, yes. Jane.
Can you give us some examples of what type of jobs are out there for our children?
I promise I won't interrupt you.
Well, we partner with job coaches. One is here today. The job coaches go out and basically try to find jobs. And those jobs could be anything from working, we can start at working at a Publix to working for Arthrex. I mean, it can be working in the school department. It can be working for Collier County. We don't limit ourselves to a particular job. The way it fits is that when you develop that plan for the people that want to work, they have an idea what they want to do. We do vocational interest tests, which kind of pinpoints what people's strengths are, what direction they want to go in. So then when we make a referral to a job coach, or in many times we create relationships with other employees in the community ourselves, we will try to hook up that person with what they want. Many of our students who come out want to be nurses. They want to be nurses assistants. They want to be phlebotomists. They want to, the range is whatever they want. If they decide that perhaps they want to go into a vocation, we have a nice arrangement with iTech College in Lorenzo Walker. So we send our students there and they prepare them for whatever vocation they want. So that we are never limited to the jobs that we can provide. It just depends on what your goal is and what you want to do. And we try to make that happen.
Lori, question in the chat?
Going back to parents' earlier question, would STARability make a referral to both rehab and what is the difference between using the VR service versus STARability?
You probably would have to repeat it for online.
Right. So you probably didn't hear that in the chat. Did everybody hear the question? Okay, the question is, what is the difference between using the VR services through the vocational rehabilitation department versus the STARability, our STARability vocational services program?
I'll take that. I won't cut Bob off this time, I promise. So that's a good question. And again, sometimes, you know, when we're in the field for so long, it can be pretty confusing. It can be confusing for me, and I've been doing this a long time. So when you're submitting your referral for VR services, STARability is not submitting that referral. The individual is submitting the referral. They might give you the referral form to fill out. They might help you submit that referral for services, but the customer is actually the person who's submitting that referral for services. Now, what the difference between STARability, why not just go the direct STARability route or go through VR? Like Karen had just mentioned, they are now vendors for VR services. So in addition to Idella, who's a job coach with MVP Autism, we also have STARability. They're also job coaches. So we contract with them to pay them for the benchmarks that they move the person along towards that goal of employment. So I'm not sure if that makes sense or answers the question clearly. I know if the online person would say, yes.
Just a little clarification or going forward. Some of the programs through VR, like you'll go directly to VR and then say, I'd like to be part of the program such as, you know, Learning Academy or Project Explorer or something along that line. And so then VR works with whatever program. Is that similar to what you're doing with STARability?
Yes. Yes.
So they're taking the beginning steps of what Voc Rehab is paying for, so that you guys are then paying whatever group that you've applied to.
Now, that's an important word, because right now, STARability, you guys are certified for job coaching and supported employment services. Now, we all know STARability is a wonderful program. They offer all kinds of services out in the community to a wide array of ages and interests. But for vocational rehabilitation, What we contract with them for support employment services and job coaching. So those are the two services that we can fund for them.
So if you choose as an individual, you can choose to go to a program that has other services that you will pay, like.
I think you had mentioned Moorings
Lorenzo
Park.
Walker,
Yes.
that you're paying Lorenzo Walker fees,
Mhm,
tuition,
mhm.
and then, they're reporting back and forth with that. So sort of that difference of what portion of the services, what step you are on that chart, is a determination of the balancing between both rehab and the STARability or whatever.
Right.
Is that?
Yes. And when we start talking more about the programs that require tuition assistance, you had mentioned Moorings Park, Lorenzo Walker, which is actually Moorings Park. That's where we get into, and it gets more confusing. And when you meet with the counselor to discuss exempt, non-exempt services, if we're looking at a program that requires tuition, there's a whole different process with Pell, financial participation, all of those types of things. With just support employment services, that doesn't come into play. It doesn't matter what the household income is. It's an exempt service from that financial participation. So, and typically what we do is if you're coming into VR and you want to go to work, yay, that's what we're here for. If you're coming into VR and you have a goal that requires additional training, okay, and we all agree that this training is going to lead to that employment, then we can support that training. But we can't do the two together, because if you're coming in and saying, I want to be a LPN or I want to be a CNA, you can't just have a job coach get you a job as a CNA and then come back and say, well, I need training to be a CNA. Well, because you're already a CNA. So typically the training portion would come before the job coaching portion. Okay, does that make sense? Okay.
Just so that it can get confusing,
It
but just to
can.
clarify, we get referrals from the school department, FGCU, FSW, Moorings. I mean, anybody can send us a referral for a customer, because all customers don't know where to turn. They're already involved with an agency like STARability. They're like, I might need something in addition, or STARability wants to work with us to provide supported services. So we get referrals. We get referrals from doctors' offices for surgeries. We get referrals from dentists. I mean, the referral process, anybody can fill out a referral for their customer. Doesn't have to come from the customer itself. And sometimes that process is helpful because that person assisting them, like someone from STARability, will be able to point them in the right direction and help them through the process. People who get the referrals from somebody else, they're up on that pathway already. They've already identified something that they need or they want, and we're just kind of filling the blanks. They're not starting from square one. So that makes sense as far as where we are. So, and when it's not only limited to people who want to just find work or just have one provider. We get referrals from, I can't even imagine. Lots of places I can't. So, okay, thank you.
I know we have a couple more questions. And Hallie's going to touch on this in her presentation, but STARability, when we became a vocational provider, a certified provider with Voc Rehab, it was merely to provide another option for people in the community that were seeking supported employment and job coaching. We were already doing what we're doing, and we're going to continue to do that whether we have VR clients or not. So people that are part of STARability, that are in our day programs, that are seeking employment or not in our day programs, or people in the community that join STARability because they want to be exposed to the vocational training that we offer, that's going to continue to happen. So we are not operating solely as a VR provider. We are STARability, and we have a holistic range of programs and services that we provide. So I just want to make that clear that this is just an enhancement to what we're already doing and to provide another option for people in the community. Okay, I think we have time for one more question, and then we're going to have to move on to our next presenter. Yes, Mary Lee.
I just want to give a real quick plug because we started working with VR when Hannah was 16. And we went, because that's when you can start, correct? So Hannah wasn't ready. So I was like, oh, boy, I was disappointed. I went back when she was 18 and 20. And they were able to provide some of the testing. They were from the East Coast. I persevered. I had Hannah with me every time trying to make that connection with someone at VR. And I just kept doing it. And the person came over and did a skills test or what have you, even took her out in the community. More years, she ended up doing some other things. And it took everyone here in this panel to help her where she is 16 or 14 years later, having 4 part-time jobs. What I'm trying to say is develop a relationship with VR, connect with your counselor, and persevere. If you're disappointed at first, you've got to be there for your loved one. And everyone wants to help them, but sometimes they're not quite ready at that moment. But it led me to Idella, it led me to STARability, now having a relationship with VR and all of these professionals here. So don't get so disappointed. Be proactive.
So for our online folks, it was not a question, just a wonderful commentary from one of our parents about being persistent and not giving up. Okay, so thank you so much, Robert and Lisa. I know that other people may have questions, but you will be here later to answer any individual questions. So our next presenter is Idella Hernandez. And Idella is a human service professional with over 20 years of experience in the field. She holds a national certification in rehabilitation counseling and a national certification in Social Security benefits work incentives as a work incentives advisor. Idella provides employment services and benefits work incentives advisement to individuals with disabilities and their families. And her services are designed to promote meaningful changes in people's lives. So Idella, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I need to have 2 things. I need to have the clicker and I need to have the
Okay,
microphone.
then you need to hold it,
To also
see yourself right there
Yep.
so the online folks can see you.
Technology first. And then I cannot move around as I like because I have to be in front of the camera. But probably at some point I will. Thank you very much, STARability, for bringing this event to the community and for inviting me to be here today. I think it's very important whenever we talk about integrated employment to have the benefits and the work incentive component to the table is essential for someone, for the community with disabilities. So yes, it is important to know that employment is the best form of integration. I always support employment. Every time someone with a disability comes to me, I said, employment is best. Most of the time, there's something we can do. Even the most disabled individual can do something. So use that ability and make it to work and get integrated in the community, because that will have enormous amount of positive consequences. I'll put it that way. As Lisa, I also worked at vocational rehab at some point back several years ago. And I had the kind of fever in me that employment alone was not possible. I had many clients that I referred to the job coaches, and they will quit the job because the families were afraid of losing the benefits. And that's a valid concern. Well, with that in mind, I decided to go on my own, have my own practice, to do the extra, to cover the gap. And it is a big gap, even though Social Security has the WIPA program, which is stand for Work Incentive Planning and Assistance. And this is free of charge services for people with disabilities that are going to work. But the WIPA is established in the Keys, and they cover many counties. and not always can provide the one-on-one counseling and benefits advisement to people when they go to work. So with that in mind, I decided to put my own practice and open my own practice. And I did that 9 years ago. Pretty fast, the time passed by. So since then, my goal has been incorporating this valuable service into the employment services. So anyone that has disability that is going to work needs to have a good benefits advisement, a good work incentive advisement, so they can max out benefits and earnings. Why? Some people can really work only limited amount of hours because of the disabilities. And that's okay to be able to work to some level, to whatever you're able to do, and continue having your benefits, but also have the integration component through employment. Some other people can definitely go back to work and work full-time and get out of the benefits, the cash benefits without a problem. That's fine too. There's a lot of advisement for that as well. But in that sense, what I did today, I brought 3 topics to talk about today. It doesn't mean that I will cover everything, and that doesn't mean you're going to get out of here experts. But my goal is that you get out of here with the understanding that employment is awesome. Benefits advisement is necessary when you go to work. And there's a way for you guys to have your young adults, your loved ones involved in the community, earning and feeling self-worth and not losing the benefits. There's support, there's assistance, and it's complicated, but looking for the right advisor can help you tremendously. So I brought to the table today a couple of items here that I think is going to be good for you. My agenda talks about, let me go back. Oh, I'm going to the last one now. Okay. Oh, it has to go.
Yeah, we have to go like this. Oops. Where did you want to start?
In the agenda.
The agenda?
I think it's the first one.
Okay. I can turn it if you want to just talk.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Okay.
All right. So the agenda, I brought 3 items for the agenda today. SSI, supplemental security income, versus SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, the Social Security work credits, and the work incentives. A lot of people have confusion about if I get 529 or if I get 794, why some people get more money than I get, and I don't understand. For Social Security, supplemental security income, the decision for this entitlement is based on 2 aspects. One, you have to have the disability decision first. Yeah, you are disabled by Social Security rules. Perfect. Second one is being poor, meaning you don't have more than $2,000 in assets, which includes cash sitting in the bank, savings and checking combined, or having a lot that someone gave it to me because the person passed away and that was a donation, or you have a lot and it's worth $10,000, or you have more than $2,000 in assets. You don't qualify for SSI. So SSI is based on disability, eligibility, and also on financial eligibility. No more than $2,000 in the bank. The SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, is something that you earn. You pay towards the disability insurance while you work with your work credits. Once they decide that you do have a disability, the second criteria to determine eligibility for SSDI is that you also have the work credits. On your own work record, But also, let me get this down because I don't need this.
Right slide.
Yeah, the next one. Okay, so I talk about a lot of stuff before I go to the next one. So on the disability section, you become eligible for SSDI on 3 different ways, or 4 actually. One, because you worked and you earned the work credits and you get the disability benefits. But also, if any of your parents becomes disabled before the age of retirement, or if any of your parents also retires, or dies, passes away. If any of these conditions, any of these events happen to the parents, also opens the file or the disability file for the young adult or the individual. So some people are young, they don't have the work credits, but the parents do. And the parents retired, or the parents got disabled, or one of the parents passed away. That opens the eligibility criteria for the individual to be to get SSDI. And the amount that is received from SSDI varies, because it all depends on how much the person that earned the credits worked, and how much that is the formula that only Social Security has. Okay, so with that difference, we also have very specific rules and regulations for each entitlement. SSI has different entitlement than SSDI, and with that, different work incentives. Someone that is receiving SSI goes to work, and every month, Social Security is going to be looking into how much did you earn. Oh, let me get back to the camera. How much did you earn? Okay, based on the calculation that they do monthly, the SSI amount will change. And that communication from Social Security is not going to go away for many years until you go into this SSDI. Right, Ms. Gandel? Okay, so letters goes, letters come, maybe 2 or 3 times a month for the same calculation. First, they send you a letter saying, this is based on estimated earnings. Then when you send the wages report, they send you another letter. This calculation is based on verified wages. And it goes on and on. With that said, a lot of people say, that's too much. I don't want to deal with that every month. That's a pain in the neck. Yeah, it is. But that's the only way to actually earn your work credits and transition from SSI to SSDI. And remember, with SSI, you get Medicaid. With SSDI, you get Medicare. In many situations, people will get both. It gets more complicated. But yes, Medicaid and Medicare, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But until the amount from SSDI overpasses the maximum that SSI will pay, then you only get one payment. In other words, SSI maximum amount is $794 in 2021. But if your SSDI amount is $780, then $790, then you don't get anything on SSI, correct? If you get a little less than $794 on SSDI, then they're gonna match up whatever difference is with SSI, no more than that. So that's the difference about SSI, SSDI, and each entitlement has different work incentives. So for the SSI part, work incentives could be that you can claim impairment-related work expenses, and that will also reduce the amount that they count as earnings. Reducing the amount that they will also deduct from your check. For SSDI, the work incentives are totally different. The first work incentive for SSDI is called trial work period. The trial work period, TWP, is 9 months that you can work and earn as much as you want or you can, and the check will remain the same. Totally different from SSI. So once someone has SSDI and is been working and works over the trial work period level, that person can work for almost 12 months, 9 months first, and then they give them 3 more months for them to review the SGA or substantial gainful activity. So there's 2 numbers. When you start working under the SSDI, if you work over 940 a month, they start counting trial work 1, trial work 2, trial work 3 until 9. Then they do a review. And if you work over, after this 9 months, if you work over 1310, then they stop the check. And those are the kind of things that we do under benefits advisement with each individual, depending on the unique circumstances. Not everybody is the same. And we help them to understand what they're at in regards of the work incentives to make informed choices and not risking something that is so important to you or so valuable to you, depending on your situation. Okay, so let's go forward. That went all the way over. Okay, the next one is the work credits.
Wait a minute, the work credit.
The work credits. So any questions on what I talk right now? I know it's very complicated and it's not too easy to understand. Even for us as benefits advisors, it gets confusing because we wanted to explain these things as simpler as possible. But Social Security requires that whenever you talk about these terms, you use their terms. So it's very stringent. Okay, yeah, sure.
I know all of that, but I think you advised Olivia about an ABLE account. So that's something else that's part of all of that. I know it's.
Yeah.
We utilize that.
Yeah, well, when you have SSI and you're working and earning more money, you also need to think about, okay, my checking account, my savings accounts is growing. At any point, I'm going to be reaching $2,000 as assets. At any given day that you go over 2,000, right, they will penalize you with 12 months with no benefits, no cash benefits, and no Medicaid. And that's the most painful thing, Medicaid. What is a possible solution? And I was talking to a client yesterday and she said, so do I have to do ABLE? No, you don't have to do ABLE United. I said, this is an option that is available and was created with that purpose in mind, avoiding eligibility determination, you know, that people will not be determined eligible because of the assets. And so this account is a savings protected account. When you put any extra money into that account, you're doing 2 things. Number 1, you're saving for your future, which is a great thing. And number 2, you're not leaving more than $2,000 in assets in your checking account. So it's a good idea. It's a smart idea. Yeah. So in the beginning, the ABLE had some kind of issues because they didn't have beneficiaries allowed when the act happened. But thank God it was changed. So now the family can be the beneficiary. So it's more user-friendly. So I would suggest, and I would say it's a good thing to protect assets, to use that. I know a lot of people have the special needs trust. That's another option, but that's more restrictive. The next item that I had in my agenda is the work credits. The work credits for young adults until the age of 26. Can I have the table over here? Right there.
Okay.
Can you make it bigger?
It's on the screen. I mean, people can see it behind you.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, if you see, let's go to the newest one right here. In 2021, if you earn $1,470, you earn one work credit. So the maximum amount of credits that we can earn per year is 4. In 2021, if you earned total of 5,880, you earn your 4 credits. And do you know how many credits a young adult is need to get SSDI? At the age of 22. At the age of 22, if they have the 6 credits, they can get SSDI. So that's why it's so important that young adults start working as soon as they can, regardless of SSI, they're gonna be taking money away from me. Do it, deal with that. Deal with the struggle, because little by little, you're gonna get the work credits, and there's gonna be SSDI, which is a solid amount. You have more range to earn some money without touching your check. So even though it's a struggle, I always suggest work is better. It's absolutely better. Every year, you know, they increase a little bit the based on COLA, the cost of living adjustment. They increase, you know, how much in the credits. And that's why in my presentation that you probably will have access to that, you will see. But it's not that much. It's maybe $40, $20, what the increases is. But as long as a young adult with 22 years old reaches the 6 credits, they are eligible for SSDI and Medicare, of course. It's really important that young adults understand also that when they are on SSI, there's a lot of work incentives available that they can use, especially for young adults that are transitioning from high school to adult life. And they are still in school, or they are attending Project Explorer, or attending any training at a technical school, and also working. That's the best time to start working, because during the time that they are in school, until they reach the age of 22, they can be working and also receiving their check without getting penalized. You know, the check is not going to be touched because there's an incentive called Student Earned Income Exclusion. And that work incentives allows the SSI young adults to work and continue receiving a full check. So that's something that doesn't happen automatically. You have to report to Social Security and show them evidence that the person is enrolled in school, and show the evidence that they are, you know, a valid student and full-time student, and they will make it, they will approve that kind of incentive. But it's really important in the 4 years, that from 18 to 22, which is the transition years, they can work, maintain the benefits check, and earn the work credits. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And I love that stage, because a lot of parents at that stage, they don't want the children to work because of being afraid of that, of losing the benefits. So I think that is all I wanted to say for today. It's a lot of information. The simpler we keep it, the better. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than glad to listen.
Question in the back.
There was a
Della.
question about.
Okay.
How much can a person make outside of Social Security? And I think you at least partially answered this, but when was the $2,000 number put in place? And it was taking into account inflation, economy, and other things?
The $2,000 being like the threshold amount for eligibility for SSI for many years. It doesn't matter about how the inflation is. That's the threshold that they have been set for many years, and that is assets. It's not about earnings, okay? So you can earn a lot of money or some money, but they're going to be looking into your assets for eligibility. For the monthly deductions of your check, they're going to be looking at what you earn, which is different. Should I explain that?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
Yeah,
Yes.
you mentioned about the able account
Mhm.
program. In the beginning, if you put the money in the able account and the individual with the disability passes on, the money has to go back to the government.
Mm.
Has that changed now?
That changed. Oh, yes. Now you can put a beneficiary there and the money doesn't go to the government. Mhm.
Other questions?
One more.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so I looked at your little thing for 2021 saying that one credit is 14.70.
Mhm.
A lot of 4 credits per year. Well, a maximum of 5,880 is what you can make for it.
It's not what they can make. This is all only about the amount that you need to reach the 4 credits.
Okay, I got you.
That is nothing to do with the eligibility.
Okay.
No, it's different. And each entitlement has a different amount. So I don't want to go into those details because each person is different.
Got
Mhm.
One more question in the back.
All right.
There's also a question about advocacy. There process for creating advocacy groups to address some of the things like the impact of marriage, city benefits. Are there any advocacy groups out there?
There is a benefits advocacy group, and I can share that information later. Can send it to you so you can share with the group. And also the WIPA program, work incentive planning and assistance also is available in the. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you, Adela.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
That's
Thank
all
you.
for today.
Thank you. Now, again, Adela will be here to answer any questions. So we are running a little behind, but we'll try to keep things moving. So next, I have the pleasure of introducing some first people from STARability. Hallie Kretschmer, who is our vocational services manager. And Hallie has been working to grow our vocational services program for the last 2 years. She's done an incredible job of expanding our employment opportunities for our participants, as well as our network of vocational partners and employers. Hallie has a tremendous passion for inclusiveness in the community through work, and also for the dignity of work for everyone who wants to achieve it. So pass it on to Karen.
Thank you, Karen. All right, yes, and thank you everyone for joining our family forum today. It is a privilege to talk to you about our vocational services program. As someone who is very close with a family member with a disability, I've always recognized the community's role in creating supportive and inclusive environments for our loved ones to learn, to participate, to contribute, and to thrive. Of these settings, those that facilitate authentic work experiences are among the most beneficial. Our vocational services program provides support for individuals along their path to obtain these work experiences. This includes our Trailblazers, STAR participants, and VR clients. We help to determine the route towards your destination and work to remove roadblocks, plan pit stops, and prepare for what happens upon arrival. STARability has and is producing a strong, eager, and capable workforce. Members of this workforce obtain not only employment, but a greater sense of belonging, an increase in skills and independence, and an enhancement of overall well-being. Our vocational services network is our go-to when determining best placement settings for our pre-employment, job training, and long-term work and volunteer positions. We consider those in our network first, as these relationships have already been established. Most of our potential partners have engaged with our organization in other ways, as donors, as event hosts, volunteers, or relatives of our participants. We know they share in our mission. This creates a sense of comfort for the participants seeking to work there, the employers hiring them, the staff members placing them, and the family members supporting them. We have over 30 partners in 14 different occupational fields ready to provide an opportunity for the best matched candidates. To determine the best matched candidate, we take a holistic approach. Yes, person first, yes, person centered, but person all encompassing, looking at many areas of our clients' lives and revisiting them continuously after placement, as external and internal factors may change, making sure to continue to know that we have the best fit. At STARability, we are not simply looking to fill vacant positions, but to design positions that lead to fulfillment, independence, and contribution to society. Deciding to embark on the path to employment can be overwhelming, but exciting. You do not come here empty-handed. Your past experiences, whether they be work or training or school, matter and can provide us with a strong starting point. We are here to assist with the entire process from referral to placement and work. The road does not end there, however, but continues with our services that include ongoing follow-up, advocacy, and support, not only for the individuals, but the employer as well. To obtain long-term meaningful positions, we first build a comprehensive individualized vocational plan for each candidate, determining goals and identifying required services, planning our path ahead. Even with this structure, the path may look closer to this. Each candidate has a timeline of their own, and this course is not wrong or disorganized. Sometimes it takes all of this to get to where you want to be, and it's worth it. One of the tools that we use to straighten the path is the VocFit assessment. Last year, we adopted this evidence-based assessment tool at the recommendation of FGCU occupational therapy students. The VocFit acts as a matchmaker of sorts, helping to pair the abilities and strengths of job seekers to potential roles and work settings. It has proven to be an effective and helpful means to evaluate our job seekers in areas such as communication, motor skills, and self-determination. The assessment is completed by 3 individuals, including caregivers and staff. This produces a rater agreement report seen here, which provides a comprehensive perspective on the individual skills and areas of intervention where more support may be needed. We also have the opportunity to create and describe specific roles and tasks that our vocational partners could provide. By assessing the main tasks, work environment, and demands of the job, we are better able to place our participants in successful long-term vocational positions. This was the case for one of our candidates, Ryan, whose report suggested these potential roles: landscaping worker and plant nursery worker. Tapping first into our vocational network, Ryan's match options included those listed here. Looking at Ryan's prior work experience and the results of his interest survey, we determined the role of garden bud to be the best fit for Ryan. And judging by the smile on his face, I would also agree. When an individual has been placed with a business or organization, we begin to provide our at-work services, including job development and job coaching. The first step is to collaborate with the employer to develop or create a position that serves both the individual and the worksite. We may modify responsibilities, establish routines and task lists, and identify coworkers who can directly help to support the individual. With task analysis, we break down the tasks to provide instruction through every step of the job. On-site support may be needed occasionally, regularly, or just initially with a plan to fade out. Our job coaches work alongside individuals to not only assist in getting the job done, but to establish the social relationships that are so important to the workplace and help to create a supportive work environment. While independence at the job site is the ultimate goal, our staff is available to return to the site as needed to ensure the success of the employee. Over the past 3 years, we have placed 27 individuals in paid and volunteer positions, including short and long-term commitments. Our network of potential partners has grown to 30 organizations and continues to flourish. Just in the last fiscal quarter, our PLACE participants have worked approximately 1,000 hours. Their placements have proven successful, not just by this number, but with our retention rate of actually 92%, which was only a response to the pandemic and an individual finding a job that he preferred. Our goal in this fiscal year is to identify at least 2 junior trailblazers to add to the caseload. This gives us the opportunity to work with individuals and their families to strengthen their transition plans, connect with other parties invested in their success, and identify career goals at an early stage. We will continue to use our VocFit to measure employee and volunteer progress and define potentially new roles with our partners. To increase exploration services for individuals in the pre-employment phase, we will connect with our partners to offer job shadowing, internships, realistic interview classes, and more. With these partners, we will continue to build and refine our support strategies to become a prominent inclusion resource for organizations and businesses in the community. The participants you are about to hear from, Liv DeAngelis and Matt Martell, were 2 of my very first clients. One a trailblazer with a clear goal and a partner seeking his skill set, and the other interested in a little career exploration before pursuing a position, yet both on their individualized path for finding and maintaining employment, and certainly both shining stars helping to light the path for others. Before we hear from them, does anyone have any questions? All right, I like that. I will be around afterwards. And Liv DeAngelis, come on up. So everyone, I would like to introduce you now to Liv DeAngelis, a STARability participant and now a StarMade Studio employee. She began volunteering with the StarMade Studio to develop her career interests and was offered a paid position this past September. Liv has a lot of experience navigating the employment and technical training landscape as a self-advocate and is very passionate about the rights of individuals with disabilities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia DeAngelis, but I like to go by the name Liv. I'm a studio assistant at the StarMade Studio. When I was born, they said I had mild retardation, but as I got older, we found out I had autism and a learning disability. Through my life, it's been difficult to adjust to changes, big and small. As a student, I struggle taking tests and finishing tasks on time. I like to take it slow and steady. This helps me make sure I do everything right. Even though I drive on my own, I needed help to take the written tests, and I can only drive during the day. This has limited my work options. I'm among a large group of individuals who face issues like this in finding work. Even when we get the job, we continue to have challenges like with public transportation. I've completed multiple vocational training programs, but they have not resulted in a job. My hope is that our society will offer jobs in more fields, not just grocery. I'm thankful to have gotten involved with STARability, first as a participant, then as a volunteer, now as an employee. Fear of losing your benefits should not stop you from wanting a job. It's a tough system to figure out. We are limited with the number of hours you can work and how much money you can make. It's unfair for the disability community. I reached out to Vocational Services Department after seeing an article in the newsletter featuring someone who found a job for STARability. It took some time to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. In the meantime, I started volunteering to make candles at the StarMade Studio because I like hands-on projects, making things, and being my artistic self. I treat it like a paid job by showing up on time, working hard, and taking pride in my work. This position allowed me to work in a supportive environment by working at my own pace with kind and encouraging coworkers. I've been able to gain skills in more than what I signed up for, like providing customer service, teaching kids at a summer camp, and selling products at events. Last month, I was offered a paid position with the studio. At first, I was nervous on how it would affect my Social Security benefits, but after talking with my family, we decided my love for the job was worth it. I want to thank Kayla, Carrie, my parents, and Hallie. Kayla and Carrie are the kindest people you meet. They have helped me learn so many skills and love me, and love how they're patient with me. And my parents have helped me strive where I am, and Hallie was patient on finding the right job for me. Kayla, can you come up here for a second? You're welcome. In the future, I'd love to see people with disabilities find a job they love and live on their own, being an adult and not under someone else's household. Take advantage of the services in our community. I strongly recommend getting a job coach so they can help you find the right career. Why do I have to fill out a form stating I still have a disability? It does not go away, even if there are days that we wish it did. But every day I still rock it proudly. I share it with the new people I meet and celebrate my differences. Together with organizations like STARability that help people find their purpose in life, we can all try to make the world a better place for all. Like a shirt I have says, we need more hope, we need more humanity, we need more acceptance, we need more love. Thank you for joining me in this fight. Any questions for Liv? Yes, Lori? Butter pecan.
Sounds good enough to eat.
Any others? Madison.
How was your experience with summer camps, like working in kids, having an experience with music that you for our community program?
I like teaching kids that that even when you have a different ability and everything, that we can all do the same thing, even if we're all different and everything.
There's a question. What is your favorite part of work?
I like how that Kayla and Carrie are patient and kind, and I like how they let me take my time, and I love how I get to make candles and people get to bring them home, and they get to see that, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities can do anything that anybody else can do.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Liv. Thank you. Right. And next, I would like to introduce to you Mark and Matt Martell. Matt is one of our participants and Mark is his father. The Martells moved to Florida in December 2016 after Mark and his wife retired from the automotive industry in Michigan. Matt joined the Trailblazers Academy in 2018 and loves it. About 2 years ago, he started working as an office assistant at Stoft Cooney Architects, utilizing STARability's vocational services. He has also gained experience crafting home decor and candles at the StarMade Studio, and now has 2 cards featured in the studio's debut card collection. And also in September, I referred him to our Garden Bud cohort, which I also work with as well. And he has started to work with our Junior Trailblazer Academy on their garden activities, teaching them and demonstrating the activities. So that has been great as well, adding that to his resume. So Mark.
As Sally said, I'm Mark Martell, STARability parent. My son Matt and I are here today to share our experience, our journey, I guess, of sorts since we arrived in Florida. And we want to just kind of share the positive impact that STARability and Trailblazer Academy have had on our lives since we got here. And as Hallie said, we moved here in 2017, and Matt had been involved in Special Olympics back in Michigan, where we came from. And he had been involved in basketball, soccer, and golf. So we got down here and we got him going in Special Olympics bowling and a little bit with bocce and then a little bit with golf. And it was during a golf tournament or event that we volunteered at. We met some people from Naples Civitan and we explored their group and we decided to join. And then we ended up going to their Valentine dinner dance that they put on every year for STARability in February. And we saw all the participants there dancing and having a good time. And then as we continued along, that was in early 2018, Matt started bowling at Headpins. And from going there and bowling with Sean Denton, we talked to Sean's mother, Pat, and Pat explained more about STARability. And we decided we'd start going to some of the social functions that they offer every month and got more involved with STARability. And then from Matt being involved in Special Olympics bocce, we met Debbie White, and Debbie kept telling us to get involved with Trailblazer Academy, to get enrolled, to get on their list. And so we did that. And Matt was fortunate enough to get in to Trailblazer Academy in August of 2018, and he just loves it. And we noticed right away what a difference it made as far as he made friends with not only the participants, but the instructors. And it's just been fantastic. And then in 2019, he ended up getting a job at Staff Cooney, which STARability found for him. And that's been a really great fit. The coworkers are wonderful. He looks forward to going there. They look forward to him being there. And it just changed his whole attitude as far as his confidence, his independence, and just his social skills. Everything just improved right away. And Hallie, as his job coach, has helped him to the point where I'm going out on a limb here a little bit. He doesn't need as much direction. He hardly needs any direction at all from what we're told, but she's still there when he does need some little guidance, which most employees do at some point. So there's nothing out of the ordinary there. And just to summarize in conclusion, we were a little apprehensive. We left family and friends. We came down here to Florida. It was really a huge transition for all of us, but we've noticed Matt's thriving down here. And a big part of the reason for that, the main reason for that, is STARability and Trailblazer Academy. So I highly recommend both organizations.
Hello, my name is Matt Mantel. I am 24 years old. I am from Michigan. I live with my mom and my dad. I have one brother and soon in sister-in-law. I am in the TVA Academy at STARability. I also do drawing club, art class, and geography. My favorite TPA classes are math, home, living, and yoga. I like to walk with my Fitbit and listen to my music. In November 2019, I got a job at Soft Cooney Habitats that build houses. I am an office assistant. I work 2 days a week. I have many tasks. It is my job to make sure everything is clean and organized. My favorite thing to do is duck the foods and cook the meal.
Awesome, Matt. Yes, you have a lot of responsibilities at Stocked Cooney. But I'm wondering, what is your favorite part about work?
Making new friends.
And tell us about your coworkers and friends.
I like my boss, Sean, Cooney, Manta, and Shane help me too.
Great. And do you work with a job coach, Matt?
Yes, but I have started to work by myself.
Yes, you have. And you're doing a great job at it. But when I was coaching you, what did I help you do?
You helped me to do my job and learn new things.
And how does work make you feel?
It makes me feel happy.
Good. Yes, me too. And tell us about a fun time you've had at work.
I went to the holiday party and held a gingerbread house.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing all of that, Matt. Is it okay if we ask everyone if they have questions for you too? All right. Any questions for Matt? Lori.
What do you like to do at the garden?
I like small flowers.
And what do you do with your phone at the garden that helps with garden club?
All right. The pictures.
Lots of pictures of all of the plants, yes. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Matt, for sharing.
Big round of applause for all our panelists and presenters today. Thank you all so much for being here and spending your time with us.
So that concludes our presentation, but we do have several partners here. We are joined by Collier County Museums, Naples Art Association, River Park Community Center, Come On Children's Museum, and the Naples Players, and we have a table representing our Thrivability Garden at STARability. So please feel free to mingle, talk to everyone, and enjoy. Thank you again so much. All right, thank you.